Another challenge for the Green Hornet, his aide Kato, and their rolling arsenal, the Black Beauty. And now, to protect the rights and lives of decent citizens, rides the Green Hornet.
Welcome back, my friends, to an all-new episode of the Hornet Sting podcast. It's the owner-publisher of the Daily Sentinel here, John S. Drew, and we're coming to the end of the series of the Green Hornet. And as we have from the beginning, coming here for the end, been with me through the whole ride, the District Attorney himself, Mr. Jim Beard. Hey, Jim.
Hey, I've got quite a buzz on, so let's do this.
You got the buzz going.
You're gonna make you're harshing my mellow, man. You know, reminding me that we're almost at the end.
I know. But you know what? For the at least, well, I don't know. I don't want to say anything about the last one yet because I haven't watched it in a long time, and I don't want to get into it. But I know these next two that we're doing have a lot going for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
In less than 30 minutes, they have a lot going for them.
Yes, that's true for a 30-minute show. Yeah. Now, today we're going to be talking about the episode Alias, the Scarf. It aired February 24th, 1967. The writer is William L. Stewart and the director Alan Reisner. I think Stewart actually did an episode of the Hornet prior. So, you know, at least we're not talking about someone new here. Love the whole opening. I thought the whole opening was great because in this episode we've got John Carradine, legendary, screen actor there. But
wait. First of all, any TV show that opens in a wax museum has got to be good, right?
Well, there is the Batman episode with the wax museum, and that one.
There you go. And then when John Carradine crawls out of the woodwork, there's got to be something special going on. The ubiquitous John Carradine, who appeared, I think, in just about every '60s TV series at that time, except Batman.
Yeah. But, and in addition to that, we've also got Mr. Atos himself from Star Trek, Ian Wolfe.
Yes. In a very brief role.
I'm sorry, say again?
In a very brief role.
Yeah, in a very brief role, but still, two well-known figures of our television and movie past here in this opening. So, I mean, it's a great little start there. And I love how when we come back from the opening credits, this time they stagger out the titles. The titles don't come one right after the other because we get the whole build-up with our mysterious scarf now come to life, killing a homeless man and frightening a woman.
Yeah, right. I don't know how that works as far as if the director of every episode, actually gets to choose how the credits roll out like that. But yeah, very, very interesting point. One of the things that I made a note of that I had to chuckle at, well, actually two things, is that the Wax Museum actually has a Green Hornet logo that they use for their Green Hornet exhibit. And of course, it's the Green Hornet logo, but within the fiction of the show, you have to kind of wonder, like, why did they bother to create a logo for the Green Hornet? And then the other thing is that he is described as evil, or he's placed within this grouping of evil, characters.
Right.
And I kind of have to question that. One of the things that we've talked a lot about during the course of the Hornet Sting is the city, the unnamed city, and the citizens' perception of the Green Hornet, how he appears in the public eye, what they know about him. And we do find out now why they know what he looks like, as far as how he dresses, and that's thanks to Mike Axford.
Right.
As we're told that when Axford notes that that the head of the Wax Museum has done a good job with the Green Hornet mannequin without ever having seen the Green Hornet. And then that guy, Mr. Ataz, who we're calling him, points out that it was all thanks to Axford's descriptions of the Hornet in his articles. Again, this is all very fascinating to me because it's within the fiction of this show what people actually know about what the Green Hornet looks like. It's very fascinating, and this all works into it. But he's being that he's perceived as evil is a bit of a stretch.
Well, that was my note here, because it's like, what are you scaling or defining as evil? Because we have the scarf, who the Hornet and Kato are kind of replacing as far as the main attraction at the Wax Museum there, and the scarf was a murderer.
Right.
I mean, we know all those guys are gangsters, but we don't know to what extent. Exactly.
Carradine walks us through the exhibit with the reporters, and he goes over all the horrible things these people have done. Now, if I remember correctly, I don't think there's anything that the Green Hornet in this city is perceived as a murderer.
No.
Or that he's not a thrill killer, or anything like that at all. He's known as a criminal. My perception of it is that he's the head, or wants to be the head of organized crime. And obviously in the past we know in the real world that involves killing, but I don't think the show has ever gone so far as to say that the Hornet has been thought of as a killer, or that there are known victims.
No, not by the general public. I mean, we've seen moments where he has threatened violence, even to the point of death, to be intimidating with gangsters. But among the general public, we've never been given any impression that he's a killer.
Right. And you know what? And I love the idea of the Hornet showing up as an exhibit in the Wax Museum. Yes, it's a cliche, and as you noted, it happened in Batman, and that's a great Riddler episode. But it's a plot contrivance to get this going, when he's mentioned in the same breath as Jack the Ripper or some of those other guys that Carradine walks us through is kind of a stretch.
Oh, it's quite a stretch. Yeah. Absolutely.
And he does get his own logo, and the other guys don't.
Yeah. Now, one thing I had to laugh at, though, isn't it convenient for the scarf that the city's experiencing so much fog at this time?
Yes, maybe that's why the scarf has come back, is because of this, profusion of fog. Yeah, really good point there. But so much is telegraphed in this. We get a close up of the wax dummy of the scarf, and it's very clearly John Carradine. So you kind of have to wonder, are they playing with us? Is it that it can't be that obvious, so it must be something else? But this is a very goofy as hell episode with a lot of huge holes in it.
Yeah.
But it's very fun, and it's very atypical, I think, for a Green Hornet episode, because he goes after a murderer who is not an organized criminal. He's literally a murderer, and I guess like the scarf was supposed to be a serial killer of some sort. That we never really told us why he killed originally, but I did make a note. And I want to ask you this. Why exactly is the Hornet concerned about a murderer? And what I mean by that is, we know why Britt Reed is concerned about a murderer. But why is the Green Hornet concerned with a murderer? No one ever questions that in this.
Well, no one questions it, but the way it's all set up, it's not like they're aware in terms of, outside forces other than Scanlon and such, that the Hornet's involved. Yeah, Carradine's character figures it out, but he's onto it and everything. But he's got more important things to even think about than worrying about the reasons why. It's just, hey, the Hornet's after me for whatever reason.
Well, jumping ahead just a little bit is the woman in this episode,
Hazel,
the former stripper, which again is just, it's a little weird.
It is
with the tone level of this show, and then Scanlon says that kind of weird thing about finding a former stripper is like finding a wide open door at Fort Knox. I don't know. It was a little weird. Whatever.
There were some very weird lines in this episode.
Yeah.
There was one there called the Buzzwell to his Johnson. I couldn't find any reference to that.
It's Boswell.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I misheard it.
But it's pronounced strangely in this, and it does sound like Buzzwell, but it's Boswell. This is funny. I'm actually currently reading all of the Sherlock Holmes short stories, most of them for the first time. And Watson mentions Boswell, and I hate to say it, but I don't know exactly what the reference is. But it's obviously a famous duo, or master and apprentice, or whatever kind of a thing that's going on. But yeah, it is actually Boswell.
Oh wow. Yeah, it just a lot of weird. And I getting back to what you were saying about Hazel Rose. Yeah, the whole thing. In fact, even that whole thing when she's talking to the Hornet and she's like, she doesn't believe all the things about him.
Yeah.
And she talks about him leaving to be immortal, and the weird music that's playing.
What you want to talk to me about?
Who is the Scarf? What was his real name?
I don't know. You see, he always just sort of showed up, and he never made no passes.
Then why did he keep coming back?
Beats me. Unless... maybe it was 'cause I was a good listener, you know? I used to walk into my room, see? And there he'd be, just sitting in the dark. He had a great big bottle of cold champagne and caviar, just as black as the inside of your pocket, and those little tiny crispy crackers.
It's all so odd, and I agree with you. I'm all on about this thing. It's like, was he really the Scarf, or did the wax figure come to life? Or was he just channeling the Scarf? Because he's, there was so much there that you just left questioning at the end. I didn't get it with him.
Yeah, well, how many times have we said this? There's so little time, little time. They set up a lot of things. It's wrapped up very quickly, very, very quickly. It's pretty much exactly what we would guessed it to be.
Right.
But yeah, why was he walking strange? I haven't watched it in quite a while, and I was trying to remember what the deal was, and my guess was that he's being hypnotized. That there was the assistant at the Wax Museum. I thought, okay, he's doing it, and he's setting Carradine up for it. How many different things? Maybe Carradine was the Scarf, but he's being mind controlled or something like that.
Right.
He's also shot by the police during the course of this, and then that's conveniently forgotten.
Yeah.
When they track him down, they see the blood on the costume, but Carradine doesn't show any signs whatsoever of having been shot in the shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's again, lots of plot holes, but it rises above for me because it is so atypical of the show. The themes or whatever, again, some kind of weird serial killer. The Hornet goes after him. We know why Britt would want to, but Hazel never questions it. He's, right. The Hornet's practically yelling at her about, I got to catch this murderer. And, she's, the way they have her talk is kind of like she's very dumb. And maybe that's why we're not supposed to wonder why she doesn't say, hey, Hornet, why are you interested in this? You're a criminal. Right. Kind of a thing. There's a little twinge of jealousy that Carradine shows towards the Hornet, as in this is the guy that's replaced him.
Right.
in the city. But again, that unless the Hornet is a serial killer or is thought of as a serial killer, I guess it's only because the wax figure of the Hornet has replaced the scarf as the star of the wax museum, but not in reality, as far as we know. Hey, Kato had two little interesting bits in this.
Kato had some, because I was actually going to say, I know one thing that disappointed you in this episode was that, the Green Hornet didn't use his sting to break open the museum door. Kato kicked it open instead.
Yeah. Wait, that's a suitable stand-in. Because I thought that was really cool. Yeah. That he does that. What's great is that he's the one that makes Britt think when he says, well, what about that? And Britt says, yes, you're right. That is that. And he leads them on that. Yes. And he actually keeps Britt on that track. Yes. During that scene. And I love it when they're looking at the things and Kato mentions the evil figures of the Orient.
Yes, at the end of Act 1. I have that too. I loved it.
Yeah. And this is, to me, the writers realizing what they can use Kato for other than just kicking things like doors and stuff. It's like, he has this whole world that he comes from, and you're not using it. I mean, we'd got one episode, basically, where they really used it. Right. Other than that, it's really just kind of going to waste, and that's why I perked up and made a note of that. The evil figures of the Orient coming back because unfinished business or whatever, something makes them come back, and that's a really great note. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting notes in here of horror, maybe of the supernatural that I really liked a lot. But as always, it's too short. It is wrapped up in the blink of an eye, and that they have Carradine there being interrogated. I thought, I wasn't watching the time, and I thought, well, this isn't over yet. There's going to be some other wrinkle to this, but no, there's not. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, And as you say, that's it for my notes. I don't have anything else much more to say about it. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's the same here. It's a shame that Carradine is somewhat underused. When he kind of does his monologue with Hazel while they're at the Wax Museum, he's really good. He can chew the scenery with the best of them. But I mean, he's pretty much doing what we expect from John Carradine, but at least this isn't to the point where he really started to deteriorate. When he gets into the 70s, sometimes it's hard to watch him because he's pretty much down and out at that point. But he's still pretty vibrant here. Again, it's just I wish there was a few more things answered, like you said, like. We know that they had him shuffling along to make us think that it was the wax figure, but within the fiction of the story, we don't really know why he's doing that. Why did he seemingly shrug off being shot? And maybe just a little bit more about why he's come back or why he killed in the first place. And his relationship with Hazel, I must say that was pretty interesting, that she was known as his girlfriend. Yeah. Although she tells us that he never, ever made a pass at her. But I mean, that's a really engaging thing about he talked to her. What exactly was that all about? Was there some sort of deeper psychological thing there? Right. Lots of good setup, lots of nice tone, but just way too short. But I'm glad that they attempted it. It's a shame that it's so late in the series because I would have liked to have seen more like this. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then, with that said, where do you place it? Must watch, can watch, or pass? I'm going to give it a can watch that's pretty close to a must-watch. As much as the holes are in it, I'll go back to the thing about being atypical. When one of these things comes along that's just not another group of organized criminals that the Hornet, acts like he's got to, muscle in on their territory, I sit up and take notice. I wish there was a little bit more episodes like this one. Well, maybe a little more complete, but
right.
so definitely a Ken and kind of leaning towards a must. And John Carradine elevates that. The persona of the Scarf that's very pulpy. It's almost like the Shadow,
right?
In a way, with the hat and the scarf and the cape. I like that. It gives us a tiny little bit more history of the city,
yes.
The backstory of the city. So those things elevate it for me.
Okay, I'm going to go with you and say can watch, but I'm firmly in the middle. It's like if you want to watch it, you can watch it. I don't think it's a must for a number of reasons. First of all, I totally agree with you. Should have been a two-parter. There was so much potential there that was lost because they tried to cram this idea, which was really intriguing, into a 30-minute episode. We didn't even mention Casey, and in this she just plays research girl. And I felt, and here's the thing, and you're going to think this is weird, I'm not usually one for the cliche, but considering we had the whole thing set up here with the Scarf, she would have been better serviced as Target Girl.
Oh, absolutely. She was supposed to, or she was saying, like, should I come over now, to your place? And, I've got this research. Yeah, I can see her crossing paths with the Scarf. And, she narrowly escapes. She provides another clue for Britt. I'm going to go back to, I would like to have seen that it was Carradine, but there was more to it as far as someone was controlling him. In that role, even though it really was his character in the past, but maybe he was a little more innocent this time.
Right. And the other thing, and you brought it up, here's our first real rogue. This isn't a gangster. This isn't, somebody who's got a computer program this is your first villain. He's a real villain, someone who's not generic, and I felt he didn't live up to what he could have been as a foil for the Hornet.
Yes.
And I think part of that was that whole weird sub-story, which was interesting, but it took away the whole thing with the stripper. You brought up the Shadow. You know what this, and again, you may not see it, but it actually harkened more when I saw this, especially after a whole year of watching these. This reminded me more of The Flash with Nightshade.
Or even the Batman the Animated Series, the Gray Ghost episode, voiced by
Adam West.
Yeah. Again, a figure from the city's past. I think they said it was 20 years ago that he had disappeared.
Are you talking about the Scarf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have put it in the late 40s. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of very rich stuff there to mine.
Oh, sure.
They could have had. Britt could have said something like, "My father ran a series of articles, trying to find out who the Scarf was."
Right.
I would have liked a little bit more about why he disappeared. This thing about so he could become immortal. I don't think. Maybe it's interesting, but it's not that great of a reason to disappear. I can't help but think there's something more to do with, I don't know, another female figure in his life. I guess he killed just any old buddy, but why his interest in Hazel as someone to talk to, a little bit more of that, and I might have gone with a must have.
Yeah. I totally agree. But you know what? Not bad. Can watch.
Watch.
Definitely something I'd come back and revisit. But the thing is, every time I do, I always walk away a little disappointed.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Well, then, that's going to do it then for this episode of the Hornet Sting podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode. Britt appears to kill a former employee attending Britt's own birthday party, and now Britt is wanted for murder in Hornet. Yeah. And I love this title, Hornet, Save Thyself.
Yeah, great title. Alias the Scarf's a great title, too.
Alias the Scarf was a great title, too. No, I agree.
Yep.
But this one's going to be a lot of fun, I think. At least from the sounds of it. So until next time, folks, thank you so much for listening. Once again, Jim, everyone, take care.
Let's roll, Kato.